Good afternoon, Anthony. This is Ron. We're going to go ahead and we're going to draw out your sketch on CAD and turn that into a G code. First order of business, we're going to go up to File, New, 2D part. Okay, and as per your dimensions, we have a 10-inch circle. Click our circle icon, and we're going to start this at 5x and 5y. Do the old drag and click, and I'm going to bring it down to the 5-inch mark. Come over and hit our green check. Okay. I'm going to scroll down a little bit so we have the circle in full view. Let's go ahead and check the parameters of this circle. Click on the outside. Move over to the parameters box. Okay, you see we started x5, y5. The radius is 5, double it. We get a 10-inch diameter circle. So everything looks good. Okay. Now our next step is to create the polygon inside the circle you requested. So in order to do that, we'll go to Polygon. Alright, you had 8 sides, so okay, we have 8 sides. And you can enter where you want this to start, or we can click and drag. I'll tell you what, we'll try it both ways. So we'll come to 5 and 5, and we will stretch this octagon to where we have approximately 2 inches of space to the outside of the circle, which would be here. Okay, it should put us at the 8 line. What we can do also, go over to the parameters box. Okay, see we're starting at 5 and 5. You can play around with the internal and external diameters. Let's say we want this to be 7 inches. Say we want the internal diameter, and we'll leave that the same, 7 inches. And you can adjust the lengths of the sides, but we won't actually do that. We'll let it be a computer preset, and we're gonna rotate this until we get it on straight lines. Alright, you can see we're following down the path of a straight line on our right hand side. Also up the top, give that a click. Come down and hit our green check mark. Bam. So we have our polygon inside the circle, but we're in your sketch it actually looked like we had a a little less space, a little more space in between the polygon and the circle. So we're going to come back and we're going to hit the undo feature and we're going to start over. Go to polygon. Okay, we are going to start. Let's brush this over. Start at the 5 and 5. Okay. And we're going to drag this out to where we have 2 inches from the flat edges of the polygon to the outside of the circle. Once we have it in position, we come over and hit the green check mark. Bam. Alright. Alright, we're finished with this function. Go ahead and hit the X. We are going to delete our center circle. Okay. Now we have your 10-inch circle with inside octagon. Save this. We will call this Project Anthony. And put today's date. Save. Alright, let's go into cam. Okay, see how this is going to be cut out. Okay. If you notice up here at the top, Anthony, you will see a semicircle cut. That's going to be a G02 command. And the reason that's in here, it's so the torch ignites outside the shape. It begins to make the contour. And that way it can cut the circle out in one continuous motion. Sometimes what happens with circles, if we set the point of impact here, the torch may not fire exactly at this point. It may be over here, and we'll have a small section that actually won't get cut out. So we'll actually leave this G02 command in here, so the torch will ignite up here, start to follow the path. It'll switch to a G03 command and begin to cut the circle out. Let's go ahead and check out the simulation tool just to see how this would be cut out. I'm going to window in so we get a better look on it. Come up here and we're going to hit play. Looks like it cuts the polygon out inside. As you see, it made that little loop before it started to cut the circle. Returns to the home position. Okay, that looks good. Alright, let's go ahead and turn this into a G code. We will call it the same file name, Project Anthony. And today's date. Save it. Give it about 10 seconds. Okay, let's go into CNC. We'll go down to our folder icon. And let's find Project Anthony. There it is, Project Anthony, today's date. Open. Okay. Now let's take a look at the G code. Doesn't look too complex. Okay. Alright, so we have our standard G20, start a project. We have our mechanical command for The torch control unit we're using, we have fab head mode cut. Okay, this is going to be our, actually we're going to insert a G, let me put my caps lock on, caps lock G00 command. With an X0, Y0. Always like to put that in as a reference point for our point of origin. This is the point the torch is going to return to. Now we have a secondary origin point in this case because it's going to travel from 0, 0 to X4.9, Y7.76 to begin making the cutouts for your Octagon. Okay. After G603, we have our first G01 command on line 8. So we need to insert a line above it. M50, torch on. Okay, so now our torch is going to begin to cut. We'll pretend this material is sheet metal, so we'll say 65 feet per minute. All right. Okay. You see it's going to make the series of cuts between line number 8 and line number 18. These are the cuts for your Octagon. I can tell the Octagon ends here because there's a G01 command. Line 19, that's a G00 command. And what that tells us is the torch should be off, and this G00 command, that's going to be a new origin point. Just a travel point for the torch to go to begin the next cut. So, after line 18, we need to tell the torch to turn off. M51, torch off. We need to enter a G00 linear command, torch off, linear movement, torch off, and raise our torch up. Z negative 0.5. Okay, it's going to travel to our next origin point. Okay. Alright, now we have G603, that's the start of another shape. We're going to put in a G00, bring the torch back down to 0. So our cut height is correct. Okay, now we need to tell the torch to turn on. Okay, torch is on. G03. That's actually, they have this set up. That's going to be your semicircle instead of the G02. And your G02s, it's actually cutting a double, I believe it's a counterclockwise arc to complete the circle. So line 25, 26, and 27, this is cutting your outside circle. You can see there are I and J commands only used when we're cutting circles. We need to change our speed to 65. Okay. And right after line number 27, we need to tell the torch to turn off. We need another G00 linear command, torch off, raise up our torch so it doesn't drag across any melt. And line number 30, It's just our torch returning to the home position. G00, X0, Y0. Now I wanted to go back and explain something to you. Up here line 22, when we have this G603, the start of the shape, which in our case is a circle. This G00, Z0, you can actually insert this before the G603 or after. I just did it after, but if you were to, make this line 22 and the G603 line 23, it would be fine. Just, it's a matter of personal preference, but this is just the way that I do it. But if it's easier for you to remember to turn the torch on right after the G603s, we can do it this way. G00, Z. You just want to lower the torch after it goes to the next origin point. So we can structure it this way, okay? Just to run through, we have G20 start of project, M106, that's the power unit we're using to cut. Fab head mode cut, that's the mode we're in. Origin point, start point, X0, Y0, okay. Secondary origin point, this is inside. It's going to be the beginning of our first cut on the octagon. Okay, it moves to that point. Then start of shape, torch on. Okay, from line 8 all the way down to line 18. That is the software cutting out your octagon. Okay, line 19, we turn the torch off. Raise the torch up before it moves to the next position so it doesn't drag across any melt. Okay. We have our next start point, our next origin point for the shape. We lower the torch back down to 0 before it begins to make the cut. Start of the next shape. Turn the torch on. From line 25 to line 27. That's cutting your circle out. Line 28, we're all finished. Tell the torch to turn off. We raise that torch so it doesn't drag across the melt. And then we return it to the point of origin, our 0 point. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. Project Anthony. Save. Do I want to replace it? Yes, because we have made many changes. Okay, now we're going to close this and see if it accepts it. Perfect. Okay, so as long as we were in the shop and we were able to hook up this machine, this would most likely cut out perfectly. Okay.